Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. In the last episode we wrapped up stage 3, which is building all of our flat rides, track rides. We now have every single ride in the park built, with a couple minor exceptions. And now it is time to move on to phase 4, which is going to be building ride stations and ride infrastructure. Honestly, a little bit nervous to start this stage. We're at the point where I have to start being a little bit creative, but also still trying to recreate real life things. This stage is definitely going to be a challenge. We're going to be starting today with GateKeeper, going all the way back to episode 2 with the very first coaster we built in the whole park. Finally time to come in here and give it a little bit of love. It's been waiting patiently, testing for many hours, and it's time to finally open it up to the peeps. This one is also a little bit tough to do because Google Street View does not have any photos of GateKeeper, since their most recent photos go to 2011. So I was relying pretty hard on CP Insiders to get some photos. And they have some really good ones, but unfortunately not all the angles. So I was doing a little bit of guesswork here and there. It's also a little bit interesting because GateKeeper has 2 exits and basically 2 entrances, since you can only go in and out of one side depending on which side of the train you're sitting on, which made things a little bit complicated. I opted to just go with 1 entrance and 1 exit. Figured that was one concession that was worth making. But as far as station buildings go, this one wasn't too terrible. Real life station buildings are really not that exciting compared to some of the station buildings that I've seen people build in RCT, so things look a little bit blocky. But they look a little bit blocky in real life, so I'm not going to complain too much about the way these turned out. And we could always come back and spruce these up a bit later if we want to, if we have the time. Also worked a little bit on enhancing the plaza around GateKeeper. With some more of this path down, we could do a couple cool things like make Wicked Twister a little bit longer, a little bit more realistic looking, which is cool. I had this little plaza area set downwards in elevation a little bit to keep things a little bit interesting. Turned out to be a little bit of a challenge getting the paths to line up right. Still don't have it quite how I want it. We're going to come back here and tweak this later, I think. I see a lot of peeps getting lost because of the weird pathing already. I'm also experimenting a little bit with some different queue types. You may remember for a lot of the flat rides we've done and for Skyride, I wound up using Proxy Path, where we make the queue invisible and then overlay regular footpath on top. For GateKeeper, I decided to try a different approach where we hide the queue and then use base block scenery instead, so we don't have any visible path whatsoever, but the base block scenery makes it look like you've got one expanse of concrete, which is a little bit more realistic, although it is a little bit plain looking. But I wanted to try a couple different things out, see what I like the best. Definitely want to keep our options open as we play around with a couple different artistic directions here and see what we like best. I also decided to go ahead and do a little bit of building work over here, just to give our lost and hungry guests something to eat. As soon as I put down that chicken stall, everyone got very excited. It got very crowded over in this area very quickly. I've been getting a lot of worst food in the country awards because I haven't really opened very many restaurants yet. So I guess I should have expected this. But it's good to see a lot of peeps over here and finally enjoying the rides that we have. But anyway, I think that is going to do it for today. Things are looking okay over here. As I mentioned before, when I do this kind of creative scenery work, I am usually very indecisive and I'll build something, tear it down, rebuild it again. So odds are very high that we'll come back and tweak this area a bit more, especially when we come back here later for the next stage to add in the rest of the buildings and everything. But I'm going to go ahead and let this episode play out without any more narration. I'm going to figure that a lot of these scenery heavy episodes are going to be a little bit of narration and then a lot of time lapse. There's not really as much to talk about with these episodes. As always, if you've got comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.